Cyberpunk Phantom Liberty, mid-tempo. The new course is available at Letsynthisize Academy.
Yo, the Larson here, welcome to the new Synthesize Sunday episode. Today I want to talk about two awesome distortion units through this little thing I made. Like always, you can grab this whole project from my Patreon below and click here from my academy if you want to dig deeper into music production knowledge, but right now let's jump into it. Okay, so we have this awesome Shaper plugin from Kilohearts that you can run separately as a VST, and I honestly love this feature because, yeah, faceplant is great, but I love to build up my own stuff, my own chains inside Ableton. Anyway, so what is a wave shaper? You can apply or print the face of this shape, the Kilohearts shaper, on the sine wave. So if you double click and start drawing your own shape, you can start seeing it on the waveform. So we can choose a different one from the complex waveforms. Now the fun begins when you start applying different effects or different waveforms before the wave shaper. So for example, just let's add some FM. It is already a great sound, and maybe a higher component. And it's even cooler if you start filtering it before the distortion or the wave shaper, especially with high resonance. And you can still choose a different waveform or a different shape. Ooh, nice formanty. You can always choose to mirror the shape. Yeah, so this is an awesome plugin. And we also have the Shapertable. That is even cooler, even funnier, because sometimes drawing your own shape inside a shape editor can be a little hard. So it obviously makes sense to use a wavetable for that. But you can always drop your own. For example, if you go to Serum, draw your own shape that you really like here, and you alt-click to the oscillator. Let's choose the second cycle and make some adjustments to it. Drop it again there. And if you choose Spectromorph and Crossfade, we have this nice little wavetable. And just save it out, like for example on the desktop, let's call it whatever, and just go to the desktop and drag the wave onto the Shapertable. How cool is that? Such a nice addition to the sound. Now let me show you one practical thing that I especially love in Shapertable. Okay, so let's load up Serum. Let's choose one sine wave, but with two voices of unison. But we don't need the stereo width. So because of the detuning, our sine wave starts oscillating or vibrating depending on the pitch. You can hear it better if I choose sync warping mode. Classic Neuro stuff, by the way. Maybe on the filter we can add a little more drive. This is a nice foundation for a cool Neuro bass. Okay, so let's start with the Shapertable. And let's choose, for example, the waves. So it instantly distorts our sound in a very unique way, especially with the modulation that you can always open up here inside Ableton and just play with the frame. You can modulate this too, but I want to filter it before the distortion with a bandpass filter. And maybe some extra drive on the filter. This is already such a nice sound. Let's drop an OTT after that. And I'm sure you can hear how great the sound can turn into by just simply tweaking the frame. So let's choose, for example, an LFO, map it to the frame, but just, make it on a short range. Now that the sound is a little too dry, what I would normally do is use an erosion to add some noise to it, but before the distortion. So let's use, for example, the white noise. But I don't know, to be honest, to me this is a little too obvious that you are using a noise on top of the sound. So what I would do instead is go to the Shapertable again and drop it before the first instance and just use, for example, one from the noises, like for example the bipolar. Ouch, but this is too much, so pull back the mix. So it's such a nice way to add some noise, some extra rust to the sound that we really need for neuro basses. Maybe it is still too much, so let's choose 0.2. And maybe you want to add some EQ. Anyway, so you can see how handy this Shapertable can be, and also the free shaper. But let me break down what I did here in this little beat. Yes, I'm talking about this main bass. It's so heavily in the face. Now it has a sub layer and the main bass layer. So basically what I did was the same. I started with a sine, so as you can see it's a sine only, and added this shaper to it. And I started FMing it and playing around with the bandpass filter. So it's already very gritty and crazy sound, but I needed voices, so I added 2 instances of choruses. But I still wanted more voices after the distortion. Then 3 instances of OTTs. So the sound is getting into shape, some EQ. And I needed an overdrive to make it even crazier. But I had to pull back the input gain to have less effect. And I applied a suit to tame the mid-highs a little more, and the final EQ. And along with the sub, the whole sound took shape. And to be honest, it is so heavy. Okay, so I love this little hit. I made that here in the video. So I just resampled that bass loop and, chopped it up. If you want to check it, click there. You can also grab it from my Patreon, the whole thing, and this one too. And this synth hit is the same style, but with lots of choruses, as you can see, and some EQing. But the chop was cranked up by 1 octave and played around with the texture to create the final shape. Because on beats mode, it sounds a little different, less synthy. Okay, now I have this ARP plug bass, sounds so cool to be honest. The movement is created by this arpeggiator that I tweak here. Pure operator preset sounds like this. And some distortion on the filters. But the main sound is a sine wave, then a little shorter FM only on the beginning of the sound. The same thing with another operator, and the final form, just to add more grit to it. After that I had to use a Shapertable to make it even crazier. It kills the subby part, so the sound turns more like into a stabby or plucky kind of sound. Then I had EQ. And with the delay I added that metallic effect that I so love, honestly. And to disperser, again from the Kilohearts guys, to add the lasery sound, and this is so cool. And this sound is basically just another version of the main bass, where I have just a sine wave modulated by a 3 courses sine wave, and the LFO moves the bandpass filter. And I'm using this shape, so this is all here. Right, so grab this project from my Patreon below and click here for my academy if you want to dig deep into production, and see you guys next time. Peace.